Hello and welcome. Today we're building a real URL shortener using Django. We'll save URLs in a database and handle real redirects, not just generate random strings. The first thing we're going to need is to create an environment. So in VS Code, we can hit Ctrl-Shift-P and then search for create environment. Let's just write Python create environment. And we'll use the venv, Python 3.14. Of course, I assume in this video that you already know Django and you already know Python coding. Now that the environment is ready, let's open up a new terminal. As you can see, it's now selected. What we can do is say Django admin start project URL shortener. We hit enter, and then we get this folders and files. Let's move now to inside the URL shortener folder. As you can see, we now are in the manage.py path is the same path as the manage.py. So now we can say py manage.py start app shortener. Excuse me, we need to install Django first. Now let's run the start app. And then we have this application right here. We need to start with the models. So let's go to the models. Let's create a new class. Let's call it short URL. That extends from models.model. It has an original URL, which is a URL field, so URL field. It also has a short URL, that is a char field. Let's say it's max length of 10. And it should, of course, be unique because we don't want duplicate URLs to be in our database. We can now just define the str function, and we'll return self.short URL. Okay, a very simple model. Next, we need to go to the views.py, and there we'll create some functions. The first function is a helper function to help us generate short codes for URLs. So def generate short code. Let's take in the length and make it by default 6. We will just return a join, a string that is joined using the random package dot choices. We'll use the string library right now, dot ASCII letters plus string dot digits, and then we'll just say k is the length. Of course, we need to import some stuff in here, so let's import random, and let's of course import string. It's ASCII letters, sorry, my bad. The next function is the index function. So let's define an index function that takes in a request. We'll set the short URL to null, or none, sorry. In Python, it's none. And there's going to be a form in the index page, so we need to check if the request method is post to handle the form submission. So if request.method is equals to post, then we'll take in the original URL from the form, and it's going to be from the request.post.get URL. Then we'll create a shortcode for that URL using the helper function we just created. So next we're going to be use models.py, and then we'll use the model we defined, which is the short URL model, and objects, of course, dot create. We'll pass in the original URL as the original URL, and then the short code as the short code. Of course, we need to also import the model. So from models, where you need to import the short URL. We now need to edit the short URL. We're going to be using request.build absolute URI, and then we're going to be using an F string. So we'll add the short code in here. Now this is going to give us our domain and then the short code after it. So for instance, if we have let's say test.com, it's going to be test.com / the short code, like that. Okay. Now, if we don't send a post request to the index page, we need to show the already shortened URLs. So let's get them. Shortened URLs. We will also use the same model. So short URL.objects.all, and then we'll just order them by the ID in descending order. We will now return a render function. We will pass the request and then the HTML template URL. Of course, we don't have it yet, but we will create it in a few moments. So shortener index.html. And we need, of course, to pass in the context. So the context is, of course, a dictionary. So let's just say the short URL is the short URL. And the shortened URLs, let's just put an S in here, are, of course, the shortened URLs, like that. We still need one more function, which is the redirect URL function or view function, because we need to actually redirect to the original URL. So redirect URL will take in the request and the short code of the URL. Now we only need to get the URL from our database. So get object or 404, and then we'll use the model with the short code as the short code. Then we'll just return, this time we're not going to be returning a render, but a redirect to the URL.original URL. Of course, we need to import some stuff in here. So there are from the shortcuts as well. So render and redirect and the get object or 404. Okay. This is pretty much it for the views. Now let's create a urls.py file. In this file, we will create the URL patterns. We will pass in two path functions. The first one is going to be for the index page. So we just need to pass in the index page. And then let's just name it as index. The second path is the shortened URL for redirecting to that URL. So we just need to pass in an str here. Let's call this short code like that. And then a /, we will say the redirect URL function in here. And then the name is redirect as a string. Now we need to import some stuff. So let's go all the way up and then say from Django.urls import path, and then from .views import index and the redirect URL. Now we need to go and create the index HTML. So there's of course a convention for creating HTML files or template files. We need to create a new file. We need to first create a folder called templates, and then under that folder we need to create a folder with the same name as the app we are in, so Shortener as well, and then the index.html like this. We should be done with the HTML page right now. Of course, I have some styles ready for us. You can find all of this in the GitHub repo. And I'll just paste them in here in the head like this. This will just make it look a better. Now, what we need to do is to go to the URLs, actual URLs in here. And let's just delete this comment. And we just want to add another path in here. This will include the shortener .urls. And we just need to import that from here. Okay. The last thing we need to do is to go to the settings and then add the application in here. So shortener. Now let's just manage.py and then make migrations. Now let's migrate as well. Let's run the server on the 0.0.0.0:81. It's now running. If we open up the browser and just go to localhost, we should see something like this. And if you can see right now, we have a field to enter the long URL and a shorten button and then the shortened URLs. Now let's go to, for instance, LinkedIn, and the view profile button has a very long URL when we copy it. So let's try that out. Copy link. Let's paste it in here. You see, it's very long. Let's shorten the URL. This should be a short code, not a short URL. So let's just fix that quickly. Yes, we did change that. Then the migrate. And then let's run the server one more time. Now, if we reload the page, we can see that we have this shortened URL in here. Let's shorten it one more time. Let's copy the same URL. and let's shorten. And now we have it in here as well. You can see that there's 6 string letters in here after the schema and then the host. If we click on it, we should go directly to the LinkedIn page, and we indeed do. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.